Alaska Means Business, an in-depth look at the challenges and opportunities faced by Alaska's business leaders. The most recent Alaska business person to be nominated is Ralph Carney of the Alaska Chip Company.
Yeah, I was born in Alaska, so actually was born in the Palmer Hospital in 1964, and so back then it was very small. It was before the oil boom. Born in Palmer, grew up in Wasilla. Was raised on a dairy farm out there. My dad had homesteaded on some acreage out off of the Schrock Road area towards the Talkeetna Mountains, and he ran a herd of probably up to 100 milking cows at the time. And so I grew up, there was always plenty of good milk to drink, but also a lot of hard work to do. Grew hay, we planted, we baled hay, we milked cows. From there, grew up in Wasilla and went to Wasilla High School and graduated there. Went on to college and went to Eastern Washington University and got a degree in accounting, business administration, and eventually got my certified public accounting license and was a certified public accountant in Anchorage. And I did that from about 1990 until Darcy and I got married in '97, and we started Alaska Chip Company in 2002. And that was when we started the research for the company, and we actually went into business in July of 2003. And so we've been making potato chips and popcorn since that time. So what drew us to it was the knowledge that we grew up, both Darcy and I came from entrepreneurial parents. They had small businesses in Alaska. And so that combined with, really, we went to business school and learned accounting, but we wanted to run our own business. And so we were looking for that one thing, that one idea. And so that idea, it came onto the scene when we were on vacation in Hawaii. Usually your best ideas come to you on an airplane or on vacation. So we were on the beach in Hawaii, and I tasted the Maui chip at the time. There was a company, Maui potato chips. And so I turned to Darcy and said, hey, we could make these in Alaska and sell them in Alaska. And so that was really the zero, and from there, that was where we started. And so, it took us from that time about a year and a half to where we actually started making potato chips. Doing business in Alaska has got a lot of very specific, unique challenges. I've got relatives who are experienced in business who said at the time that people in Alaska think small. The problem with business people in Alaska is they think small, and I just like to remind people that the state of Alaska is big, but the population is small. And so when it comes to business and when it comes to meeting a market, you have to think small. If you overshoot the market on your size, then your rent will kill you and your facility setup and stuff costs will kill you. And so scale is super important in starting a business, especially in manufacturing. But obviously, you've lived here and it snows, it gets cold. So you're dealing with snow loads and parking lots and people trying to get to work in the wintertime. And right now the roads have been bad. They've been bad for a long time. Last year was bad. But there's other challenges as well, and that is that we use a local potato to make a potato chips with, but beyond that raw material, everything else that we use comes from the lower 48, and so we have to ship it up here, and so then you're faced with a lot of shipping costs. That is something that everybody who works and does business in the state deals with. And so the cost is higher, your lead time is longer. It means if we're ordering seasoning from Illinois, then it has to come from Illinois to Seattle and then get on a barge and then at least another 10 days, and that's if everything goes fine. And so a lot of unique challenges there. Beyond that, we're still, it's a small population, so you can't be a niche product. You have to be one of the major products in the category to make it. And so you need to be not just grocery stores, but you have to be grocery, convenience, tourism, restaurants, and food service. You've got to be in all those places to make it. And so that's what we do. And so your distribution web becomes very, I won't say fractured, but it branches out. And so we're moving product through a lot of different distributors, a lot of different markets. And so that makes it an extra challenge. And geographically, that means your product is going out to all those markets every little corner, nook and cranny in the state. And so that's where we succeed, is by getting to as many of those as we can and increasing the turnover of product through there. So when we started business in 2003, we expected that the grocery market would be, our number one market. And so we had assumptions about where we would be most successful. And, the grocery stores have always been good about working with us, but they're also probably the most competitive category in the grocery store. And so it's very difficult to get space when you're a new startup company and maybe you're untried. And so it is a big challenge to get there. As a manufacturer, you kind of have to look at, well, who am I trying to market to? And for us, we have to decide, we have to get it accepted by the distributor. We've got to get it accepted by the grocery store, and it has to sell to the customer. So, when we assess who we're trying to market to, we have to take into consideration all of those different things. And so frequently the way to get it into the grocery store or into one of those big distribution companies is to pull it through, and that is, you have to work from the other side, the consumer. And so if you have enough consumers asking for your product, if you have enough big customers who want your product and can pull it into big customers who demand it from a distributor, then the distributor will stock it. And once the distributor stocks it, then it's easier for a lot of the smaller players to buy it. And that's how you establish continuity and a solid supply chain. And that's worked for us. We discovered that the people who are the most reliable to buy our chips are people who visit from the lower 48. And so we had named our original flavor, lightly salted potato chip, as the Alaska chip. And so that was a good choice. People who visit the state of Alaska don't just want to see it, they want to taste Alaska as well. And so this gives them the product with Alaska in the name. It's a snack, it tastes good. We're a part of the tourism industry. Tourism's a big one. Our butter popcorn does really well. Year-round market, that's the grocery market. And so we have a lot of customers who really want lightly salted popcorn, our butter popcorn. We've got some, I think, unique manufacturing aspects and traits to our product that is better than our competition in the lower 48. And so we have a good, strong, steady market there. So we've got 5 flavors for our chips. The original, we started out with the original, which is lightly salted barbecue. Those are the 2 biggest sellers. Over the years, we've added other flavors. There's a sour cream and chive. There's a jalapeno flavor. And then just this year, like in the last month, we've started with a new flavor, the sea salt and vinegar chip. And so we're just in the process of getting that into the market and out into the grocery stores. Making a food product and selling it into the market is a slow process. For us, it's been slow and steady growth. And so the biggest challenge is getting people to change their buying habits, to try something new and then continue to buy it. And if they grew up and they were eating, their parents made this certain food for them, then they continue to use that food. And so to break that habit and get them to try and then continue to buy that is a big challenge for us. And so that's the most important thing about making and growing in this industry. Well, we first started out experimenting on making chips in 2002, and we did that in our garage in our house in Bayshore. And so we had a small fryer set up out there where we could cook. If you took one potato and sliced it up and put it into a little donut fryer, then that's what we would test it, try it out. And so it was nice to be able to make a potato chip, because we had come up with the idea, and so we had to acquire potatoes to do that with, which wasn't easy. But then to take it from the kitchen to go to the market, you have to do the same steps, but in a larger scale. So instead of doing 1 pound, 1 potatoes, you have to do 50 pounds of potatoes in going into a fryer. And so you're peeling 50 pounds, you're frying it. And so when we finally got up to where we were making a potato chip, that really was in July of 2003. And so there was some trial and error in there. There were some things that we learned. It was a little bit of a challenge to get it dialed in, but the chip was good. And so we were able to succeed in penetrating into the market. We bought this building during COVID, and so it was very risky. And so when we first had bought the building, it was before the high inflation. It was before the supply checking that was going on, the issues. And so, the price was a little bit lower, but what we didn't know is what was coming, and that is that the building and construction industry was going to be fraught with supply costs, rapid increases. And so those are real challenging to get things up and going in that environment. So it took a lot of perseverance to go through that. But now we've been in here for a little over a year, and the extra space that this lends us has been great. The limitations, and that is that there's no such thing as a big enough building. You're always trying to figure out how to operate with less space and how to fit stuff into to the space that you've got. I think the next big thing for us, I think that we've done a good job of getting around the state. I think that we've done a great job of marketing ourselves and getting out there. One thing is getting people to increasing that market. We're in the places we need to be. We need to sell more chips in those places. But the other is that I think that as a company, it's been an entrepreneurial effort for 20 years. I think that where we need to focus on is business excellence, and that is the way that we operate and what we do, to be really ironclad in how we deal with things. And so that's something that comes along with growth, and that's something that we need to go through is that stage. One of the areas that we're really exploring and doing more in is in some other little markets and other things that we do, especially in the wintertime. It's kind of fun. But we do like these 2-gallon metal tins with a cheese corn and kettle corn in it. And so those are a great holiday item that people buy. But we also make caramel corn. And what typically happens to us is we're extremely busy during the summer because of the tourism industry. And by the time the tourism industry over, which is like October 1st, boom, tourism's over. And so we're just like a hair behind on trying to get our marketing down for doing our specialty Christmas items, which are caramel corn. We do pumpkin spice caramel corn. And so there's a lot of little extra things that we're doing on the side that I would say we haven't really succeeded in their potential. They've got potential, but I'm looking forward to expanding further in this facility and allowing us to market those as a steady item. And so I think that we should be able to, to meet the market with some of those new products. In 2003, when we started out, we had an exclusive with Safeway. And so they were our only customer for 6 months. And then we added on Kroger after that. So we're in New Sagaya, and both Sagayas, in the Natural Pantry. We're in really all of the convenience stores, and so like S Express and Circle K, which was Holiday before and is in some places. I should not leave out Three Bears. We sell a lot of chips through there, and Costco, of course, with our 24-ounce bag, which we do just for Costco. So grocery-wise, we're in all those places, but we're also in a lot of tourism industry. Distributors, U.S. Foods, Cisco and Linford all sell to huge tourism companies in Denali and Whittier, Seward. And so they're distributing out to there, and so that makes it available to restaurants and other food service items. And so we've got, if you go to Seward, then you've got Zudi's Cafe and Odie's Deli and Soldotna, and so these are great food places that get our product through those supply chains. We're in the bush areas. There's Pacific Alaska Wholesale, Alaska Commercial Company, and Anika all distribute out into the bush areas. Some like Wilson Brothers distributes up in different places along the highway. And also Mad Al's distribution does some sales, and they do a lot of specialty candies, and so they pick up some of our items. A lot of people buy direct. We don't just go through all distributors, but there's like Alyeska Resort has a truck that will come and pick up chips and popcorn, and they sell it in their sundry shop and also in their restaurant areas and their coffee shop. And there's a lot of other smaller, small companies. Food trucks, there's a lot of food trucks who will buy from us directly, and they come directly here to the factory and from 355 West Potter and buy from us. Yeah, my advice would be, coming from a person who started out having to have jobs, it's a lot more fun having your own business, and I love doing it. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy or that it won't in some way just try to drive you crazy. And so you have to persevere, you have to be very patient, and you have to just keep your eye on what's in front of you and keep going. None of this happens quickly. Growth is slow. And so that would be it.